Rocks.
And I'm James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James.
And tonight I am going to talk about clarity. Clarity brings peace, compassion, and more. And I'm going to talk about how. So why do so many of us fight it? That's the question. And what can we do about it? Well, I hope I get to that. Okay. So before we get going, however, I'd like to introduce you to Sweet Baby James, who's going to introduce our show.
Well, welcome everybody. Once again, you have come to Granny Rocks, where Granny shares her wisdom, her wit, and her very uncommon sense. So without further ado, here's Granny. And by the way, she airs, and we air, every Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Take it away, Granny.
All right. And I want to say we already have a comment from Catalina. She sent us a heart. Thank you. Thank you. We love those hearts.
Thank you.
First, I want to say how much I appreciate the incredible support that we get from people, our viewers, every week in your loves, your likes, your comments, and all of that. And the shares. Oh, my goodness. So, you know, it's really great. We have some great people in our audience, and we try to do our best. So, you know, first, I want to talk a little bit about what clarity is. You know, have you ever gone and asked for directions? And this person says, well, you know, you go like about 4 miles down the road and you go a piece, and then when you stop seeing the livestock, you should make a left. But it's kind of a left, and then, oh, I think it's Herman's garage, might be on the right, and so on and so on. By the way, we have a hi from Elizabeth and a heart. Hey, back. And Tracy said hello, and she sent us all kinds of loving images, and we love you too, Tracy. So it's like, it's a miracle if you ever get there.
Right.
And they'll say, oh, yeah, it's not far. Don't you love that? It's not far.
Or you can't miss it.
You can, I was just going to say that.
Words.
You can't miss it. Well, they haven't met us. I mean, we have gone around, even with GPS. She says, now make a left on the V, you know, and you come to it, and they've changed the name, you know, since the last time they did a GPS update. Well, that's what I mean by not clarity. You know, a clarity is when you really see what is, and even better, you see why it is the way that it is. And that's what I mean by clarity. Now, for example, we have been going through some struggles between us, as couples all do, or most couples do. Maybe you're the one exception of the world that have no struggles. Okay. And today we got some clarity as to the root cause of that struggle. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Oh, I'd say so. Yes, indeed.
Yes, indeed. And as a result of that, things like really cleared up. And not only did that clear up about where the tension has been coming from between us, but it helped clear up a lot of other things. We're moving to a different house. We're trying to figure out what to do with each room. Well, believe it or not, the issues in our relationship absolutely have been undermining our ability to think clearly about our house. Because there's always this kind of agenda going on that confuses us. Like, gee, I'm going down, yes, I'm taking the direction, we're going down the road, but then there's this little side road, and then there's that little side road. Before you know it, you've gone through some loop, and you're in the next county where you didn't intend to go, because you're not on a clear path. And one of my favorite analogies is, if you're in a big boat and you're trying to go straight, and you go just like 1/16 of a degree in the wrong direction, guess what? By the time you go 500 miles, you're on the wrong continent. And that's what happens when you're not clear. You're not going down that straight and narrow path. You are veering here because it's sort of, well, you kind of, it's like sort of right, and you see what I'm saying? It's not clear.
Very clear.
Okay,
Very
excellent. Clear. Amy said, hi, James and Beth, and
hello,
send us all kinds of happy little emoji type things. And hi, Amy. So that was just astounding, and we spent the rest of the day getting clear about our house. If we do get this house, which we don't, it's not clear yet, um, and where everything will go, and things just fell into place. It was quite astounding. So it gives us peace. Now, why do I say that clarity brings peace? Well, because how can I explain this? It's like, there's a sense of relaxation that comes with clarity, like you actually know what is going on. You're not imagining, you're not creating nonsense in your head. You're just like on the mark. Farid said hello. And hello, Farid. So happy. And he also sent some caring symbol. We appreciate that so much. Oh, and Laura's with us tonight. Sending much love to you, Beth, and to James, and so much love to you, Laura. We have missed you. So, anyway, there is just a certain peace in not going in circles. You know how aggravating it is when you're doing that drive and you're going and you've been driving and driving for several hours and you find that you've come back to where you started. Except now you've run out of gas too. So there's just no peace when you don't have clarity and then you're not going in a clear direction. So, there's some of our fellow Americans are still believing that the election is a fraud. They have no peace. They have no peace. They're in a constant state of uproar and feeling cheated and being upset. And in my estimation, there has been enough evidence. The Supreme Court has even weighed in. It's like, no, this is it. So now you get to face the fact that your candidate lost. And that seems really upsetting. But actually it brings peace because you're no longer fighting windmills. You're actually saying, okay, well, if my candidate actually lost, what does that mean? Okay, so that's the next thing about, well, why did my candidate lose? That's the next piece of clarity. It's not just the facts. It's also the why that gives you clarity. So, for example, let's say your child has come after you as beating you up in the morning. Well, why? If I really want to know why, I may find out. Now, how can that give me peace? Because I'm not making stuff up in my head, you see, about why my child is beating me up. And if I really understand why my child is beating me up, then I might actually be able to do something about it. Oh my goodness. If I don't know, if I'm not clear in my own mind why someone voted for the other guy, then I have nothing to do but rant and rave. There is no clear sense
kind of a generalized anxiety.
Yes, exactly. There's no sense of direction. You see what I mean? But let's say, oh, Todd says, hi, Granny and SBJ. Hi there, Todd. So, that going back to the child, oh, I understand. The child is upset and crying because its diaper is wet. Oh, my goodness. Clarity. Right? So now I know what to do. I need to address that. If your candidate lost, you need to seriously think about why people voted against him or her. And then you either address that or you try to evaluate your own thinking. It's like, maybe my thinking is off here. God forbid we should ever consider that our thinking is off. Now, so that brings peace. Now, why do I say clarity brings compassion? Well, because when I understood what was bothering sweet baby James, I could have compassion for him. Otherwise, I feel the effect of his upset rather than grasping the reason for it. And the effect of it is he maybe is angry at me or is nitpicking at me, or sometimes we try to disempower people. So that's what we're seeing, for instance, in the election. It's like, I don't understand why you're doing this. I can't therefore believe that it's real. It can't be, and I'm going to just disempower you. I'm just going to tell the legislators and all of that to throw the election out, right? So I'm going to get nuts, right? But if I understand why you're that upset about the election, I might have some compassion towards you. And maybe you might have some compassion towards me if you understand why I made the choice that I did. And this, I can see that. I can see in the news all the time. There's some kind of a headline that says, this is not true, okay? I'm just telling you. 75% of blacks in Washington, D.C. voted for Donald Trump. I'm going to get all upset, right? I'm going to say, why did they do that? Well, let's suppose that 75% of blacks in D.C. voted for Donald Trump. Let's say it's true. Well, then, they're not idiots. They must have had a reason. But I might not even want to know what the reason is because I'm so set in my beliefs, in my opinions, in my prejudices, that I don't want the clarity that would help me to have compassion for those people and try to understand them. Or I might not even have compassion for myself. So now you see we're getting into the part about how clarity brings compassion, peace, and more. And the more is a sense of direction. If it is really important to me to change people's minds, I need to understand what's in their minds. Don't I?
Yes.
Rather than just rant and rave. And ranting and raving is what we do best.
Or at least most.
Yeah. Or
crying about situations.
Or crying about it.
Like the baby
getting depressed about it. Or feeling the world is against us. Or thinking we had a raw deal. Or coming up with conspiracy theories. Or whatever. And it's not all on one side. It's on every side. People don't want clarity. It's like, would we rather wander around in the fog? Would we rather have no map?
Why don't people want clarity?
Well, because then they might have to change their own minds or behavior.
Not to mention egoic defensiveness and denial and minimization.
Exactly. We have to pretend we can keep hanging on to the phantom belief that it's all going to change, that the tooth fairy is going to drop by in the middle of the night and make it all, someone is going to be able to snap their fingers and make reality change. So we don't want clarity because it will confront us with uncomfortable truths, which may not even be all that uncomfortable if we allow ourselves to think about it. Or it may expose, the clarity may expose something embarrassing about us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, anything but embarrassing. Oh my God, I can handle anything but being embarrassed. Or I might have to admit that I've been lied to. And my God, who has not been lied to in the political arena, right? Or we might get shaken up in our faith in someone we want to believe in. A doctor who tells us something that's wrong. And we don't want to know that what that doctor has said is wrong. Because then we have to look for another doctor. And then we have to start using our own brains and start evaluating things. And many of us feel totally inadequate, especially in the example that I'm giving with the doctor. The doctor tells you, you should do this. And you say, okay, okay, I need to feel secure. Help, save me, make me secure. I want you to be the be all and the end all of everything. Well, then I begin to find out that the person in whom I have put so much trust may not know what they're talking about. And I'm going to either have to confront them, which might even happen, or I might have to confront the part of me that wants to believe that what they are saying is true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And then I'm back. I want clarity. I'm back to thinking. I'm back to having to evaluate myself. So whether it's a question of embarrassment, it's a question of having to think, or it's a question about having to give up preconceptions, or it's a question of having to surrender an outcome that we desperately want to be the truth. We just don't want clarity. And yet, as I hope I demonstrated amply in my very first example, if we don't get clarity, we're going to go in circles. For example, let's say, oh yeah, my candidate couldn't have lost because he or she told me that they weren't going to lose. So how devastating is that? How much am I going to have to lose the belief in a leader who has told me something that isn't true? And then what? And then what? And then what? Then what do I do with my life? And where are my loyalties? So it's so much better to stay in a fog and to stay unclear and never face the embarrassment of thinking that maybe we were wrong. And we never have to question our leaders. And every leader must be held up to scrutiny, whether it's your doctor, your husband, your wife, your kids, your teacher, your political leader. So I'd like you to think about something where you really need clarity, but you don't want to know. I have had people come on, I'm an intuitively guided counselor, and I'm very good at what I do because I'm able to get to a higher level of consciousness, usually, and find out what's really going on inside you. And people don't like it, and many of them leave and never come back. Not because I didn't bring them clarity, but because I did. Because suddenly they realize that their pain can no longer be blamed on their mother, that they had some issue with their dad, or that it has something to do with their own reactivity and their own desire to be in power. There are so many things that we confront when we're doing really deep counseling. I would like to invite you, if you're interested, to go to my website, www.bethgreen, as in the color, bethgreen.org, and make an appointment for some intuitively guided counseling so that you can increase your clarity, your peace, your compassion for yourself and others, and your sense of direction. And don't give yourself an out. Find out what's going on. And I invite you to look at other arenas in your life, whether it's in the social system. I don't want to see, perhaps, that the capitalist system has some problems associated with it. or that some group that I belong to has been lying because that group has been giving me a sense of safety. You know, oddly enough, and I think I'm going to be coming to a close here soon, a lot of this, we don't want clarity because it upsets our sense of safety because we have created a world, a universe in our heads that we want to believe in. And that can disrupt our sense of safety when you realize that I can't just mindlessly believe. And yet, the safety comes from the clarity. Otherwise, I'm setting out on the road to Damascus and am ending up in outer Mongolia. Is there anything you would like to share?
No, I'm content.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. Please like this program. Please love this program. Please comment. You can comment at any time and I will come back and answer your comment. Please share this program. Everyone needs to be thinking about this because it is not just our own refusal to be clear. Oh my goodness, there are more comments. We didn't get it. Richard said, good evening, Beth and James. Good evening, Richard. Debbie said, hi, Beth and James. Always good to see you too. Oh, we're so happy to see you, Debbie. Adamina says, you want beautiful people. Greetings from Honduras. Oh, yes, we love beautiful people. That's what it is, love, not want. And Todd said, I'm going to need some help to know where I don't want clarity. Glad we have seeing through new glasses tonight. We have a program every Wednesday night after the show where we take a look at how these topics apply to us. If you're interested, go to www.bethgreen.org. You can register for this program. You can write to me if you want details. It's only $25 a group. It's an intimate group. And there we get clarity about ourselves. And I challenge you to join us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And don't forget, Thursday night, Dreams of Peace, 7 p.m. Pacific time, where I will play the piano for you. And we'll see you next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time or any time thereafter.
Yeah.
Lots of love to you.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.